Hey everyone, Stacey Murphy here with a quick video on one of my #1 hacks for cover cropping when it comes to the end of the growing season. So a question I get a lot is, what do I do at the end of the season? I want to get as many fall crops as I can. So do I plant fall crops or do I plant cover crops? This is a question I get a lot. And my answer is both. And so my trick to do that, so just to back up one step, obviously you want to maximize your harvest, so you want to plant those fall crops, right? Now, the other thing you want to do when you maximize your harvest is you want to maximize your soil fertility, because that's what leads to your maximum harvest. So this is why people want to plant cover crops in the first place. What they do, it's a lush bed of it might be crimson clover, it might be winter pea or hairy vetch or winter rye, depending on what you want to get out of the crop. But the idea is that when you have this protective layer for your soil, if you have a cold season, that essentially what you're doing is you're protecting from soil erosion, because the root systems are holding the soil in their structure. It's great. The other thing that's happening is underground is all of that amazing microbiology. The root systems are feeding those microbiology, so you're ensuring that microbiology is going to be available to you in the spring. And of course, the third thing you're doing is you're bringing nutrients. Basically, these cover crops, they're dragging nutrients literally from the air. They're sinking them into your soil. And when you chop those crops in the spring and drop them in place, you're basically creating an organic mulch that's just chock full of fertility. So that's why you want to cover crop. So you want food and you want to cover crop. So I say do both. And my trick for doing this is something that farmers have been doing for hundreds of years. And I don't know who coined the phrase, but basically it's called undercropping. And it's exactly what it sounds like, which is that if you have a mature crop that's taller, what you can do is you can sprinkle in your seeds for your cover crop below that. And so the big crop is going to take precedence. Its root systems are mature, but that undercrop is going to start to seed and sprout, and they have little micro roots right at the surface level. And then by the time the end of your season shows up and it starts to get close to a frost, you just cut off that upper crop. Let's say it's kale or Swiss chard or cabbage or broccoli or whatever it is. You cut it off, and then below it you already have your cover crop started. Now, you can't cover crop every single bed, and the reason is that in a lot of cases your fall crops, you're growing something like this. You're growing arugula, a nice beautiful bed of arugula, and it's packed in the bed, and there's really no way to get any more seeds in here because they would just take up space where the arugula is. So you might grow heads of arugula with a sprinkling of crimson clover around it, but otherwise, if you're growing this bed of arugula, I'm not going to cover crop this bed. It just doesn't make any sense. But my other beds where I have more mature plants that are taller and there's space underneath them, I'm going to undercrop them. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Super simple. You probably, just from this description, I'm sure you got it. But I'm just going to show you real quick how I do it. So here's one of the beds I'm going to cover crop, and it's got some chard up in the front. It's got a line of fava beans along the trellis. I'm in a temperate climate, so I'm going to be actually harvesting those this winter. It's got a little bit of alyssum in the back left over. It's got some lemongrass in the far corner that I'm probably going to transplant somewhere else. And in a line of leeks that's been coming in slowly and surely, and so I'm going to leave that in place until they are harvestable, and I'm just going to cover crop around all of this. So here is my cover crop, and it is crimson clover. It is a kind of legume, so it's going to fix nitrogen into the soil for me. And so basically I'm just going to take my handful and I'm just going to broadcast it around the other crops very carefully. And I'm not going to be too precious about it. I'm not going to be too precise about it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to drop some over on this side and over there. And so that's going to grow into a nice cover crop within the next couple weeks. Now, when I'm buying my cover crop, I basically need about 1 ounce per 50 square feet. So I'm just taking here like maybe 2 small handfuls to really cover most of this bed. And so I'm just going to dump this area over here, share that. I'm going to pitch some back there as well, and just a little bit more in this little area back here. And that's about it. And then I will water it in really well.
and I'm going to make sure I continue watering to make sure that it sprouts. So this bed was a little bit more tricky. I had to plant around things that were already in the bed. So I have this very beautiful pepper plant that keeps producing these beautiful peppers. And so I basically want to keep that around as long as possible. So I have that's still in place. And then I have a serrano pepper plant here that's still producing, and a little baby jalapeno pepper plant that's still producing. And I've got some basil seed that is basically almost ready for harvesting those seeds. So I left those in place, and then all around it I planted some fall crops. I planted some chard, some more celery, and some kale. And I will probably cover crop this as well. Just throw some crimson clover around the edges so that it gets a nice cover and adds some nice soil fertility in the upcoming months.
So there you have it. Yes, you can have soil fertility and fall crops at the same time. So whenever anybody asks you about a garden and says, hey, should I do this or this? It's possible that you could do both at once. So find creative ways to see the abundance of your garden and see ways in which you could make both things happen at the same time. All right, take care. I'll see you on the next video.